to this computer. Oh, okay. Well, it's Mark Mordew here at his Substack account, The Slider. This is actually the first recorded interview I've done for my Substack account, The Slider. So that's a real achievement of sorts for a technically inhibited guy like me. And I'd like to welcome Jude Kuepper, Jude Dransfield. I'm still not sure which name to use for you, who is a renowned artist who works frequently also with her husband Ed Kuepper on his album covers and the projections and visual accompaniment with his performances, of which recently I witnessed at the City Recital Hall in Sydney, where Ed Kuepper and Jim White performed as a duo, and Judy's visuals were above them, and they were absolutely stunning, really special. And they both enhanced the music and took it other places. And really, it was just because they were such a knockout that I wanted to speak to Judy today. And just for a little more context, even though Judy and I don't know each other well because of the inherent nature of the whole, I don't know, post-punk scene, for want of a better word, we've kind of half known each other since the 80s. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
So you'd think I'd be
long
able to
time.
get the name straight by now, but maybe I'll let you sort that little detail out and then we'll move forward.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I was Judy Dransfield, and working as a photographer with just Judy Dransfield, before I met Ed.
Mm,
And when we had a child, I decided to throw the names together.
mm,
Um, and I let Dransfield go for a while,
mm.
my own surname, but in recent years I've sort of brought it back in again and strung it as like a double name. So
See, no
uh,
wonder I'm confused. This is very
I know, I'm
complex
confused.
for an old-fashioned guy like me, so simple. Um, but I mean, that's kind of without wanting to go sort of, too hard and far into personal stuff. Like I did read, and it's important, I think, or has a relationship to the artwork because you've had so much of a parallel creative relationship with Ed as a musician and an artist as well as your husband. Um, just how you met Ed, because I read that you were a journalist for a student paper, not unlike my own beginnings. So
Oh, that's
I
the
was
dog.
surprised to see you go. I see there would be the alarm there.
Sorry, Bear, Bear. That's the dog.
There, good name.
I better just,
Want to get him?
yeah, I better, Bear,
Calm him down.
come here. Come and say hello to Mark. Come on,
Yeah.
come say hello. It's a big bar.
Right. Yeah, must know I'm in the house.
Yes, I should put him out. Will I put him out?
Yeah, sure. If you think he'll be happy, sure.
Yeah, I'll let him go and see what the problem is. I wasn't expecting that.
No, it's nothing like a bit of improvisation to, you know, keep one alert.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just wondered I mean, obviously, when we're drawn to people, we're drawn to people because we like them, but you obviously also were in love with Ed's music.
Yes. Oh, I was a huge fan. Uh, I was an art student when I met him,
Yep.
and like fully involved in the college. So at the time, I was the editor of the college magazine Chimera,
Uh-huh.
and I um, I met him through friends and asked could I interview him,
Uh-huh.
and I was very impressed with him actually.
Yeah. Right. Okay. Because uh, should you let Bear back in, or he'll calm down? You reckon?
I'm not sure what to do about him. He's
Normally, well.
responding to neighbor noise.
Okay.
So um
Uh, well,
he's
look, I'll,
he's
I'll
a,
share this story with you,
all
Jude,
right.
because it probably wouldn't have been too far apart in time, but I didn't end up marrying Ed, so that's probably a relief to all involved. But I remember the first time going to interview Ed. Obviously, he'd done the Saints. He was doing Laughing Clowns. He may have started his solo career. I think it was still late Laughing Clowns period, and it was the Hot Records office. And I was just petrified. And Ed sort of, I mean, his manner's very kind of laconic and dry. It was a
Yeah.
very hot day, and we had like two lousy little fans on the floor while we cooked in this room, and two chairs and like literally nothing else. Just an awful environment for an interview. Yeah, and and anyway, I was very earnest and keen and wrote it up and asked very long, complicated questions. Um, but you know what? It took me years to realize that Ed was funny, that he was actually being
I
because
know, right?
I was so young
Yes.
and I was so serious that I just didn't understand the humor involved in the conversation.
Oh, look, I had exactly the same experience.
Uh, yeah.
His humor went right over my head,
Yeah,
and
same, same.
he made a comment which I thought was a bit racist,
Mm.
and it was actually droll Cooper humor, and he later said to me, "You didn't get my joke, did you?"
Yeah, well, like I said, it only took me a decade just to sort of realize, that's how far over my head it went. Like I finally
Yeah,
sort of connected with the humor factor. But I guess I'm more interested in obviously you fell in love, you have a relationship, but your art begins to not merge, but you start working together in different ways and
yeah.
inspiring one another. And I guess I'm really interested in how Ed's music and your art, how you began to see the two of them coming together.
The collaborative process.
Yeah.
Yeah. Gosh, it's hard to work out where collaborations start and end sometimes.
Mhm.
I think it began with, I do remember now. I do remember it began with he asked me to take some photos of the band.
Mhm.
And when Laughing Clowns were just getting together and they were, I went to the studio to rehearse and it was back in the days of film, of course. I was so nervous. I made so many mistakes. Um, I had to go to about 8 rehearsals,
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
I think he thought I might have had a crush on him. Well, he's probably right, but I actually was a bit inept as well.
Right, it's not a bad combination. Might have had some charm underneath it. Yeah.
And then we had wild plans, like then we went on to we we were talking about animation back in those days because Ed did these wonderful little cartoon figures, and at college I just learned how to do animation with drawing with wads of paper and then filming it,
Mhm.
and he was fascinated by that. So that was our first plan together,
Mhm.
and then it moved on to covers and things. At one stage, when Mr. Ruddick Schmuddick goes to town, I I got a whole lot of bits of offcuts from the dark room where I'd been cutting things up and turned it into a collage, which he loved. And he said, I think that was the first cover we did together. And
Mhm.
he loved that, wanted to go with that. So, yeah, it all sort of went from there. I don't always do his covers. Sometimes he uses a photograph from someone else, or
Mm.
um, sometimes he does them himself.
Mm. But you're obviously forming it as an artist in your own right as well at the same time, because it should be pointed out to people like, this period, like, we're all in our 20s, we're all working out how to be, how to become what we are. And it always interests me that it's sometimes like when you're young, you kind of hit the bullseye without, just because you're so wild and open.
Yeah,
Like you don't really have
true.
control and you can overdo it, but there's a sort of freedom in being young where you take chances and do crazy things and something really comes off. And, when I look back at my own writing, there's a whole bunch of stuff that I find really embarrassing and other stuff I hope no one ever discovers. But every now and then I find something, I don't think I could
Yeah.
write it even now.
Yes, yes, I do. I do identify with that. I was just speaking about it with a younger photographer a couple
Mhm.
of days ago, and she was, I was showing her my early work.
Mhm.
She was visiting the house, and I made that exact comment. I said, I think I did some of my best work when I was about your age, early 20s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was the
Mm.
work you were showing that you felt that
Um,
attachment to?
um, I'm really, I really like some of the work I did when I first got into just walking around the streets of Sydney, um, photographing what I saw.
Mm.
Um, that whole kind of catching the moment.
Mm.
Um, and the one I love, um, I'll send you a copy of it. It's a photograph in King's Cross on Victoria Street of a worker erecting a sign,
Mm.
and his body language exactly echoes the pussycat on the sign, the
All right.
stripper. Yeah, and um, I think that's probably one of my best. Yeah,
Just a second, I'm going to get myself a drink of water. You can hear,
yeah, yeah.
so between bear and me, my cough. Yeah, well, I mean, I find that now with writing and, just wandering around, how much it's an inspiration. But you're obviously, as an artist, um, I mean, now like your work combines, I think, like photography, painting, and using digital materials in some way
Yeah,
or another.
yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
that
and
really fascinated me about the work for after the flood, the show that went with Ed Kuepper and Jim White's performance. Because it was multi-layered and it was multi-textured in terms of what you're using from what seemed like pretty sort of raw physical things through to a computer or iPhone apps of some sort, Yeah.
yeah. I find well, iPad. Yeah,
Yeah.
um, yeah, yeah. That all came about during the COVID phase.
Mm.
Um, Ed and I got a grant from the Queensland government to just like do our thing, to make some work based on being in lockdowns and that sort of thing, and our experiences.
Mm.
And so it was the first time I had the creative freedom to just do my art, which was fantastic. And because I've taught in school and uni and stuff for quite a while, and so um, Ed bought me an iPad, and I learned how to use it. I actually signed up for some lessons just before lockdown, so I had to figure it out,
Mm.
and it just opened up a whole new world for me, and that's how the kind of the digital, but I still really love the look of paper and pen marks and pencil marks. And but complexity is a thing that it enables me to do, working in that manner across the media. And I don't know, I think it kind of suits the music because Ed's music is kind of, I see it as, or hear it as quite layered,
Mhm.
and um, he describes it as impressionistic, but I feel if you use that, it's an art term to
Yeah.
describe it, it doesn't fit with how I perceive it, which is more, well, it's complex, and it's more of a collage to me, rather than an impression.
Well, I imagine he's using, I mean, I use that term too sometimes, but he's probably using the term emotionally rather than in a historical art,
Oh, yes.
the impressions. Uh, um, but can you just talk a bit more about the collage thing, like what you mean by that in connection to the music and your work at the same time?
Okay. So I'm hearing ideas and feelings, and I feel like the music's really visceral.
Mm.
And um, I really like to respond to on that level, on an intuitive level,
Yeah,
and let the sounds uh, create ideas and images.
yeah.
So I try and get down what just pops up as I'm listening.
Yeah.
And
So I wondered at times in the artwork, sort of half buried, but not always. Sometimes it was a lot more apparent. There's like old photography there over which you've painted, and there's sort of colours and textures. There's plant vegetable tree life. There are sort of faces that are a bit Chagall-y, Picasso-ish. Like this is kind of what I mean by the layers thing. But just at that layer of photos, I wasn't sure whether they were actually old photos of like Ed as a family kid, or whether they were just ones you'd found, or some combination, or
oh, okay, yeah. Well, you're right. They are Ed's family photos that were retrieved from the 2022 flood here in Brizzy, and the process of the damage created the most amazing effects, and leaving little artifacts of faces and places. And he uh, we were both excited about the potential for doing something more with it,
Mhm.
and that inspired the title for After the Flood and the cover. And as I was doing the cover, just more and more sort of popped up,
Mhm.
and that became an exhibition. But I think I've drifted away from your question, have I? I'm not sure.
No, no. Well,
No.
I've probably forgotten my question, so I've drifted too. But no, look, I mean, going back to how you sort of were talking about starting using sort of digital, you know,
Yeah,
I don't even really understand it, except I know you've got an iPad and you can kind of draw and color onto it. Like, obviously, I saw some of your early work online, and it was really nice, beautiful work. But
thank you.
I was stunned by the shift at the After the Flood show, because it was like it had all those qualities that you'd had before, but it was like you'd broken through, and instead of there being basically one layer, it was like about four or five. It was so you just could go into it that much more. Is that like a
Fantastic.
reasonable?
Yeah, yeah. Well, I did all sorts of tricky things too. Like I'd um, create realistic figures on the old photos,
Mhm.
and then sort of blend a couple of images together, and just whatever I felt would make the image work. I didn't stick to any plan or particular format.
Yeah, because I mean, the artwork for After the Flood that we're talking about now. I mean, it had a funny combination of uh, beautiful and kind of spooky, almost, maybe almost voodoo-ish sometimes, just now and again with some of the faces. And obviously, like I said, I saw this sort of hint of Picasso and Chagall in the faces, but there was something faintly disturbed in it as well as. Do you get what I'm talking about?
Yeah, other people have made that comment too, that there's some dark thoughts going on there.
Well, I mean, I don't know. I mean, everybody has dark thoughts. I mean, maybe
The,
artists, if you have a little bit of light and shadow in what you're doing.
the
Um, but I don't know. I just wondered why that you felt that had a place in what you were doing.
I think I found myself in that place as I was going through the old photos, and family dynamics were going through my mind, because I was looking at the generations, looking across generations.
Mm,
One of the sub themes for me was the kind of intergenerational things and how they get passed on, the
mm,
dynamics from generation to generation. Because I was looking at photos that Ed's dad had kept that go back to the 19th century, some of them, and some of them at early 20th century. Thinking about how that impacted on Ed and his brothers, and in turn our children,
mm.
and now we've got grandchildren, and I just find from that point of view it's fascinating. And also with the flood so clearly in my mind, I'm thinking about legacies that we leave,
Mm.
thinking, you know, it would have been interesting to, um, it'd be great to travel back through time and see how Ed's ancestors would, what they would think about where we're at now. And I'm very kind of concerned for the environment, and so I think that always comes through in my work. I always find a way. It's always coming back to me to keep maybe underlining that message. Mm.
Yeah. Well, I'm hearing a couple of themes there and relating to it because I think about obviously my own family history and my kids and the present sort of situation, which is a really disturbing time. And I
Mm.
I guess, but getting older, it's mortality is a sort of painful thing, and you see you're part of a much longer history at the same time. As I get
Yes.
older, I seem to return to my childhood and teenage years. Like the memories I have are so strong, it amazes me, things I didn't even know I had locked in my head, and I don't think they're just imagined. They just seem to have been sort of hidden away. Um, but when I looked at those images on stage, like I could kind of dream on them and forget about them in a narrative way. But now and again, they had this sort of, like I say, a spooky, kind of slightly unsettled quality, and also all these other emotions like that people come and go, and we lose our parents and grandparents, and we get lost too in it all. And um, I don't know, for some strange reason, it sort of fitted quite well with the music, uh, because I think, I mean, its music is so kind of powerful and muscular and. I always think of the
Mhm.
title of Electrical Storm, like that's sort of present there, and yet there's this sort of romantic quality and like this real sort of sensitivity and a kind of, I don't know if hiding's the right word, but um, yeah, just this almost bestial sensitivity, that's present.
Yes.
Like he's a bit of an animal. Like that's the only way I can put it. And yeah, I get all artists are. So I was just really interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. It's really there's a real strength in it. Yes, in the music, and he I should add that he always, you know, is involved in the visual process. Um, in if he didn't like it, if he felt it wasn't appropriate to what he was doing, he would have, definitely had no problem telling me about it.
Right, okay. I'd be probably a bit softer, but I mean, maybe you're tricky because there's a lot of depth to it. Maybe you slid a few tricky ones by, I don't know. Yeah. Um, but yeah, well, it's it was interesting because obviously at times the images too were almost like not pillars, but particularly at the City Recital Hall where it was just looked absolutely fantastic because it's such a high space. So it kind of
Yes,
almost towered above them like church windows. You would have, were you there for that show?
yes, I was.
Yeah, you must have been
I,
pleased how it looked.
yes, I flew down on the day, and I was not expecting it to be so big.
Yeah.
That was kind of, I remember sitting in sound check, awestruck by the size of it, and waiting for somebody to tell me they were going to make it smaller.
Yeah, right.
But that's how it went, and very relieved to see that, because I haven't done anything that on that scale technically, to
Mm.
see that they'd enlarged effectively. Um,
Yeah. I
yeah,
thought that was actually it enhanced them.
did you?
The bigger, yeah,
Yeah.
big is better, Jude. Big is better, for sure. I guess because there's so much in them visually that they were able to it rewarded the scope. Like you really were in Panavision there for everybody. Must have
Yes.
been a pressure in a way to be like, oh God, my work is so vividly available to every little detail, you know.
Yes.
I found myself my mind and my eye wandering around the pictures, and obviously they're on a loop eventually, or would reappear in different.
Yeah.
I mean, that was interesting too, the sort of tension and counterpoint often between two images, or the use of one image and a really tight close up of a detail in the other image. Was that something that you wanted to do too?
Yes. Yes. Well, put it together, the actual finished slideshow
Mm,
very fast.
mm,
Sometimes when you work fast, you make the best decisions.
mm,
And so I was making some quick decisions about the close-ups and zoom-ins, and the guys didn't know they were going to be in it. As a matter of fact,
mhm. Oh yeah,
you're
right.
right. I did sneak that in.
Uh-huh. No, that was really good too because it did remind you that were there and kind of connected it to them just that bit more strongly too.
I I felt I really like when I go to a show and they do the live images of the performers. If you're sitting in at the back of the room or something like that, or if your eyesight isn't great like mine, and I really like to see the figures projected. So it wasn't quite that, but maybe that's what I'll do next time. I'll do a combination of a live video
Mm.
thing with some images.
Mm.
Mm,
It did sort of strike me. I only thought about this when I was looking at the images you sent me and remembering the slideshow itself and the work. And then I started to look at your album covers, and there's something, and this probably relates to the themes of after the flood and environmental concern too, but there's a real, like a quality of Queensland in it. Uh, do you think that's a reasonable thing to say?
Oh, absolutely, yeah, yeah.
Mm.
Well, we've been here a couple of decades now, and I just feel the light, the color. That's all part of how I translate
Yeah.
my vision, I guess. Yeah. Mm.
What do you think that light and color is though, that Queensland quality? Can you bring?
Oh, there's a really bright. bright light, big sky feel
Mm,
to Queensland. And we kind of get used to the bold colours,
mm,
the lush greens and the beautiful flowers, the tropical flowers, and sort of the whole subtropical lifestyle, which is getting more tropical these days with increasing storms and things because of climate change. Um, but yeah, uh, I think I did work differently when I lived in Sydney.
mm.
Hmm.
Because I mean, what you're saying points back to the beauty of the work in terms of color, but there is this. I mean, again, these I feel like the words are just a bit extreme, like not menace, but there is something like the figures are sort of in the environmental space and surrounded by it and overgrown by it and sort of haunted by it when you've got those other faces and things, and there's a sense of past and present there at the same time, like unfinished business, which you could almost, if you wanted to, could sort of stretch it to sort of First Nations kind of stuff too. But
Yeah.
and the political history of Queensland, obviously, there's some sort of uh, I guess that there's something kind of lonely in there too, or isolated, even though there
Mm.
is that real kind of beautiful thing. That's in Ed's music too.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
It's in your work, it's in your paintings.
Oh, thank you. That's a really amazingly perceptive comment. Thank you.
Mm.
Yeah, yeah. I think we do feel a bit like outsiders sometimes, especially in Queensland. But we have our family here now, and that's a strong base. But then, family itself is a source of all kinds of stresses and dynamics, which are, intense.
Yeah, yeah. Every relationship's intense in one way or another.
Yeah,
So, but I know what you mean about families. Well, I mean, it makes sense actually. You really kind of, in a funny way, clarifying it for me because, like, family history, like, obviously going back with the photos of Ed's family, a couple of generations, and the sort of vegetative and subtropical sense of Queensland, and then this sort of more spooky thing with faces and kind of haunting sort of figures swimming in amongst it. Like it's, I mean, subtropical environments can be sort of so beautiful and just a bit full on, like,
yeah, yeah. Well, some of the pets in our yard are snakes and very big spiders and
I
things.
really don't know. I wouldn't cope with that. No way,
It's been hard for a city girl, I tell you,
Yeah,
but I've adjusted.
yeah, no, I just, no, yeah, too urban these days. I got to, non-natural for me in the house,
Yeah, yeah.
Um, so, I mean, I guess I'm just thinking about this thing of having mentioned before what your work was like when COVID started and you began obviously using the iPad and um,
Mm.
I mean in some ways it was more it was the images were more direct and like I was saying there is this thing of there being these layers and you're going in and almost behind the sort of veil of the mind and the self, like there's some I don't know, it's really evolved a lot, Jude. Like you've
Thanks,
really
Mark.
moved forward.
Thank you.
So I don't know what you're going to do next, but it was just like really impressive.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I think really having some maturity helps. And then, that grant from the Queensland government giving me the freedom to just be an artist
Mm.
that was so freeing. And I love teaching. I do. I really love teaching. But uh, I think it's good to have the space to just get into my own practice too. Mm.
And I mean, like uh, I didn't want sort of this to be all going on about Ed, but obviously the work's integrated and,
Oh, sure.
you know, uh, I guess just that thing of like, because I've always I've been writing since I was a kid, right?
Yeah,
And it's pretty much like I'm not a musician. Like it's sort of more like a painter in some respects, but usually like it's more of a singularity type of experience. Like you're not that all that collaborative, you know.
yeah.
So it's just sort of unusual that you have such a partnership with it because I know you worked on
Mm.
lyrics for is it Jean Lee and the Yellow Dog? Is that
Yeah,
the
yeah.
last woman to be hanged? Is it in Queensland or Australia? Last woman,
Australia.
yeah.
Yeah.
Um, and on other things. Uh, so I mean, I guess I'm just thinking about words themselves, what that they mean to you in terms of
All right.
poetry that you love, or like a lyric of Ed's that just really
Yeah.
has sort of kind of pierced you a bit.
I yeah, the two of the songs that I wrote for the Jean Lee album are on the after the flood record. I just love so much of what he does. Lyrically, do you know? I think Lost Cities, his album Lost City, is the best thing he ever did.
Hmm.
I think writing from a mature perspective, um, those songs are amazing. They're so musically um, profound, and the lyrics and what he's writing about. Uh, I just, yeah, I think that's probably my favorite, but also very fond of his Laughing Clown stuff,
Mm.
his Saint stuff. Um, uh, I remember hearing all those Saint songs, and it was like they blew my mind. They're just
Oh, it blew
nothing
everybody.
like it. Yeah.
Funnily enough, I was writing about an experience trying to interview Chris Bailey when I was young, just recently. I heard a recording of Chris Bailey singing Ghost Ship. Someone had put it up on Facebook. It was just a pub recording. Really, beautiful. But I mean, I've
Mm.
had a disastrous experience with him. He just drunk me under the table in like an hour flat. We stepped on schooners. And I started off actually the interview quite um, I wasn't meaning to be confrontational, but I was definitely kind of like total Laughing Clowns fan and thought he shouldn't have kept the name the Saints. So I just bowled in without any kind of much sensitivity and said, well, why did you keep the name? Shouldn't, it's not really the Saints anymore when Ed's not there. And he didn't
What
sort
did he
of
say?
open. I don't think he was too happy with me. We were only young. I would have been like 21. He was 23, but to me, he was like 40 years old, like just this giant, you know.
Yes.
And I was just being, well, I thought I was being friendly, but I think like, maybe I was being insulting at the same time.
Hit a
And
sensitive
yeah, insensitive.
point.
That's a better way to put it.
Mm.
And um, And so it was like everything became a cloud. And then I realized that I've been trying to keep up with him and he was sort of just downing schooners like nobody's business. And I was just, all of a sudden, 3/4 of an hour had passed and I realized I was in the beer garden and the interview was over. And I found him in the pub with Ian Shedden playing pool with, I've forgotten her name, the female bass player.
Janine Hall.
Janine Hall, and I was a total mess. And I remember what I can remember is Janine Hall turned and saying, "What have you done to him?" And then
Oh my God.
and then she led me onto the street and flagged me down. This is in the afternoon. It's a beautiful day. Flagged me a taxi and I think gave me like $20 or something. And I never met her again. I just thought, what a really nice woman. And I got home and broke out in a rash. And my flatmates just like, I was like, I had alcohol poisoning, right? I was just like,
Oh
the
no.
whole interview was just gone, blitzed.
Oh,
So yeah, that was my encounter. And I think I don't know if he meant to cause me quite so much damage, but I think he did it on purpose to just kind of derail the interview and just like get lost. I'm not talking to you now.
yeah, that's Chris. Yeah, definitely. And he honestly he could drink anyone under the table.
Yeah, yeah. I was just thinking I better do the right thing and drink with him, but that's a very bad mistake. I wouldn't do that one again. Um, but anyway, that was a bit of a digression talking about tangents.
Oh,
But
love that
the
story.
bear's back, bear's
Oh,
back.
go away there.
Yeah, but I mean, it's just this thing of like, you know what I would say about Ed's lyrics without a, because I'm a writer, he's a really great lyricist. I actually think he's extremely
Mm.
undervalued. And, people talk about Paul Kelly or Don Walker or Nick Cave, obviously. Uh, they talk about a heap of people, and it's like, I feel like Ed's lyrics are superb and have been
Yeah.
always superb. And I guess that's why I was asking you because you've written with him too. What if you can remember a moment where your words combined with his words in a way that you felt was fruitful, like useful,
Mm.
shifted things.
Ah, Jean Lee was certainly a really exciting collaboration.
Yeah,
Loved it
yeah,
so much. And yeah, we co-wrote some of those songs, but he c- attributed all of the lyrics to me, the same way he did with Chris, actually.
mm,
He and Chris used to co-write,
mm,
and but Chris would he mostly gave Chris the credits, although there are some songs that are attributed just to him.
yeah,
But yeah, no, writing with him, he's really generous. Working, I think um, musicians who've worked with him will say that too. With really gives you a lot of freedom, but he's obviously got a very strong and clear idea of what he likes.
mm.
Um, and yeah, it's quite an amazing thing to work with him.
But
And
can you pinpoint like a song or a
oh
lyrical
yeah,
interaction where where you were really conscious of your process or input into it, or it's a bit hard to remember?
um, no, it's not hard to remember. It was such a great process, generally, and I'd love to do it again. The I remember because I hadn't written any songs before,
Mm,
and I started writing as if I was telling a story,
mm,
um, like just an anecdote,
mm.
something like that. And yeah, so he encouraged me to do that, and so um, the really rocky song on Jean Lee, um, oh, just having a mental blank about the name of it.
I have those. I'm Googling frantically while you figure. Yeah.
Anyway, I think it was just called, probably got one on the shelf. Anyway, I'll just grab it.
Okay.
No, I can't find it.
Damn, don't you just hate that?
Yes, it'll come back to me. Anyway, I think it's the first or second track,
Yep.
and it just comes in really strong, and it's just full on. Love it. It's a story about how Jean met um, the guy that they ended up killing at the racetrack,
Right.
and it's just in as if Jean was telling the story herself.
Mhm. Well,
Uh,
it seems like an unusual subject for a woman to be attracted to another murderous woman involved with a horrifically brutal slaying. I know the story's
mm,
complex, but
it is complex, and I did some research, and uh, I felt a little bit sorry for her. I mean, she clearly got herself in with some very manipulative men, and she's quite brave in the end,
mm,
trying to take the rap for them. Um, so she showed courage and remorse, I believe, but uh, there was no pity shown, and she wasn't pardoned in any way.
mm.
Mm.
Well, I mean, that was the other thing I was going to mention in relation to your artwork, and it seems like you're not supposed to talk like this about art anymore, but it's very, very strong female qualities in it. I mean, obviously you're a woman,
Oh,
but
that's a
there's
wonderful
something,
thing to say.
but there's something, well, yeah, well, but people kind of get into this whole trip of you shouldn't gender art or blah, 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 but there's a very female, kind of strong female things like the
Oh, wow.
shapes, the gestures, and even some of the themes I was talking about before, some of this, just even the strange metaphysical relationship to nature that is a bit disturbing. It's a female thing, somehow
Yeah, a bit witchy.
a bit witchy, maybe. Yeah, I don't know. Well, it sounds like you know what I'm talking about.
I do, and was going for that, as
Yeah.
a matter of fact. Yeah, yeah.
Why were you going for that though? Like what?
Okay, because I really like that kind of spiritual female
Mhm.
element,
Mhm.
and the power of this female spirituality,
Mhm.
um, and the whole where we fit on the spectrum, the interconnectedness of life. And that's
Mhm.
why I had the snakes in there. They sort of represent the journey, the transformation, and the wisdom, uh, which is not particularly female or male, but I think that I wanted to get into that whole connection um, with life, death, and having had a glimpse from the precipice when I had my heart operation.
Oh, I didn't
Uh,
know that. Wow. So you've had a heart operation recently.
yeah, yeah. Um, well, it was 8 years ago, and I'm great. I'm really healthy now, but it was life-saving, and I think that really tends to change your perspective on things when you've sort of
Yeah, of course.
been at the precipice and looked over.
Yeah. Well, you know what now? I mean, this could be too much, but the whole witch thing made me think of it. Like I was thinking about Jim White playing drums and Ed playing, this sort of at times and the sort of furious and drone-like storms, like how they calm down to beautiful and they stir up again. And the lights above, it's almost like this cauldron and the flame lights over you're looking in at the images. I mean, it's very I mean, I realize even though the setup is very sort of modern and theatrical, perhaps it was sort of unintended. There's actually a very sort of primitive triangular thing
Oh,
visually to the
wow.
show particularly at the recital hall where you had that height benefit.
amazing. Amazing you felt that. Do you know, when I started painting as a teenager, I was a bit of a rebellious teenager, and in art, every subject, every assignment I got, I painted witches' covens.
Mm.
So figures around the fireplace dancing naked and things like that. And to her credit, my teacher liked it. So she'd give us a subject, taking the dog for a walk, and I'd give her one of my witches' paintings.
Okay.
and, and to her credit, she decided to give me extra tuition and um, kept me in at lunchtime and recess and after school sometimes, giving me special instruction in anatomy and drawing and how to draw human figures.
Mm. Cool.
So yeah, that's really a definite thing going on with my art. Mm.
Well, probably should leave it there. I can see my
Yeah.
headline now. Judy Dransfield is a satanic witch. You know, that'll get me lots of clicks. Um, uh, yeah, but I'm sure there's heaps we could sort of talk about more, but
Yeah.
should go and
Oh,
actually do some other things. Let Bear in.
yeah.
That's
Sorry about Bear. I wasn't expecting
okay.
that.
So it's okay. That's all part of
Yeah.
the mix of man and nature. Whatever. You know, uh, you know, uh, you Queensland wild people, you animals up north. It's just like I'd go off and say, well, they're just so primitive and wild up there. They're out of control. Yeah. Okay. Thanks, Jude. Yeah.
Thanks,
Good
Mark.
afternoon.
And,
Yeah.
and that was really, really lovely. Thank you.
Oh,
Thanks
it's
for
sure.
your lovely comments.
That's okay,
Mm.
no problems. Glad I said the right thing, not the wrong thing. So we went the other direction. As with my Chris Bailey story, I've seen the other side of
Oh
interviews.
gosh.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
Chris Bailey.
yeah,
Mm.
yeah. Well, he's a strange cat, like I mean, such a great singer and all those
Oh,
things.
he is.
Like,
Was,
uh,
yeah.
yeah, like I mean, obviously he and Ed had this magnificent partnership, and
Yes.
no, I mean, obviously you and Ed have a collaboration too, and it works, and it's out of love, and there was a sort of tormented friendship love there too that went sideways and came back. I
Yeah.
mean, particularly with music. I mean, this again relates to my conversation about writing usually versus and painting usually versus other forms. Like certain art forms are essentially collaborative, and others sort of tend to allow you to sort of isolate yourself a bit more and I mean, it's pretty difficult when the person that you create best with is a bit of a pain, and or after 5 years, you don't want to be in the share house of creativity with them anymore. Like
Yeah.
they just don't do the artistic dish cleaning and vacuuming. You just go, fuck, I can't make it, man. You're just too much of a mess.
Yeah.
So it's like,
Yeah.
it's a relief. I mean, and actually, in saying that, I'm trying to leave you, but obviously, Ed at heart is a deeply collaborative person.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, he is. He is. He's
You know. Uh,
deeply collaborative. Yeah.
so, he must be glad to have you around. I'm sure. You know,
Well, I hope so.
love and art. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure, I'm sure. Okay, look, I'll leave now. Otherwise, I will say something really, wrong, and I'll be damned forever. You'll be throwing up the cauldron, cursing me. Okay, you have a nice afternoon.
You too. Thanks,
Yeah.
Mark.
All right. Bye.
Much appreciated.
All right.
Bye.